Pausing here for a quick word from our sponsor, Fourth Party. If you're serious about building a real business, not just a practice, you need systems that work as hard as you do. That's where Fourth Party comes in. It's built specifically for dispute resolution professionals, and Fourth Party is the all-in-one back-end platform that handles your intake, scheduling, file management, payments, and more, so you can focus on doing the work that you love. And because you are a listener of the Practice Playbook Podcast, you can get 20% off your first 3 months. Just visit fourthparty.app and use the code Susan20 at checkout. Take control of your business and start building it like a CEO with Fourth Party. Welcome to the Practice Playbook Podcast, your go-to resource for legal professionals, mediators, and entrepreneurial experts building modern, profitable, and purpose-driven businesses. I'm your host, Susan Guthrie, attorney, mediator, and #1 best-selling author with over 35 years of experience. I'm a former chair of the ABA section of dispute resolution, and I've helped thousands of professionals build practices they love through my books, coaching, and training programs. Each week, I'll bring you real-world strategies, mindset shifts, and behind-the-scenes insights to help you grow with clarity, confidence, and impact. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Practice Playbook Podcast. I'm Susan Guthrie, and today I am diving into one of the most important shifts you can make in building a sustainable, thriving practice. And that is moving from chasing clients to attracting your perfect clients. So many professionals, especially when they are starting out, fall into this trap of taking whoever comes along as a client. And I understand it, right? We are in that phase of startup. We're building a practice. And so for very practical reasons, it may seem incredibly important to take pretty much any paying client who comes through the door. We've got to keep the door paid for after all. So we hustle, we discount, we over-deliver, we do too much and charge too less. You always feel like you're running uphill. And that is because you are chasing clients. You are putting yourself into this box of limiting your role and your value in order to appeal to as many people as possible, whether they are the clients you want to be appealing to or whether they are the clients who are available in that moment. So here's the truth I want you to hear. Chasing keeps you stuck in scarcity. Attracting creates growth. And the key to attracting is knowing exactly who your perfect client is. So that's where we're going today. We are going to dive deep into how you identify, research, and attract your perfect client. I want to start with why chasing doesn't work, at least in the long term. When you chase, you are saying yes to everyone. You discount your fees because you're afraid you're going to lose the work. You overextend yourself to meet needs that may not even fit your expertise. I remember this so well from being a young attorney when I first started taking and attracting some divorce clients, right? Ones that weren't just coming in through the firm and assigned to me, but where I was finally starting to get a name. But not all the clients were the types of clients that were in my target area of complex, divorce matters. They were people who needed help or who wanted assistance with things that perhaps really wasn't in my area of specialty. I remember taking cases that were child support enforcement and other things. And it's not that those are not valid cases, but they weren't where my area of expertise was. Yet I was so set on building a practice that I was looking at building a practice filled with clients from everywhere rather than building the practice full of clients with the matters that I wanted and was good at handling. And that is the problem. That exactly describes I call it the hamster wheel, right? You start taking everyone and undercharging and doing things that aren't in your wheelhouse. And what happens? You burn out. You resent your work. Oh, yeah. And worst of all, you fill your practice with clients who aren't aligned with you. Clients who, honestly, they don't value your time or your skills. And that's because your time is being spent in a place where your skills don't really suit. That is the chasing model, and it is unsustainable. In fact, it is one of the reasons why I'm firmly convinced that so many litigators or traditional attorneys burn out of that practice because the practice itself is built on a volume practice, not a niche practice. So let's flip that script. Attracting comes from having clarity. The two are intertwined. If you are clear on who you want to attract, that is the power of attraction. Because when you know exactly who you want to work with, everything will change. I promise you, it's like a little magic flipping of the switch. It's like you were on one side of the looking glass and then you fell through it onto the other side. Because when you know who you are talking to, your messaging will suddenly connect. And the right clients see themselves in what you share, and they'll reach out to you because they already know that you are the right fit. So they come to you pre-qualified and they're excited to work with you. Right? That's a very different paradigm from opening your door to anyone that in even a tangential way might fit into that seat. Think about the value of a pre-qualified, self-qualified, a client who's coming to you because they have self-qualified themselves as being your target client. That is the power of attraction. And the first step is defining your perfect client. Now, I'm going to speak in terms of singular, but very often professionals will have more than one perfect client. That is especially true if you offer more than one type of service. A good example would be somebody who does litigation or representative legal work, but also does mediation, right? You're going very different clients for those two areas of practice. So you would have two different perfect clients. So how do you define your perfect client? Well, let's walk through it. First thing I want you to do is very simple. Look back at your best past clients, whatever you have to do. Open up the file cabinet, go scroll through your database, but look for those clients that were the ones that energized you, right? The ones that you really felt like you were firing on all synapses for and that you got the best results for. So look at, the impact of that client on you and your impact on that client. And I want you to go deeper than demographics here because sure, age, profession, income level, those matter. But what matters more is the psychographics. That's their mindset, their values, their goals. And here's one of those marketing terms, their pain points. Ask yourself, who brings out my best work? That's the first question. Who brings out my best work? Next question. Who leaves me feeling fulfilled instead of drained? Okay, so those two are looking at you, looking internally about the effect the client work has on you. And then the last question is, who truly values what I bring to the table? You can make these lists. You can sit down and write these down. I really want you to put a little time into this. You can even make 2 lists, right? Your green flag clients, the ones that do light you up, and your red flag clients, the ones you want to avoid. And I promise you, write them out, stick them somewhere, because those lists are invaluable. Invaluable. I have a friend who's America's favorite dating coach. And Bella, her name is Bella Gandhi. Listen to some of the Divorce and Beyond podcasts if you want to know more. Bella is amazing. And one of the things she is always talking about with her clients, who she coaches, is looking for green flags in those that you are dating and understanding what red flags are. And this is the same. Your perfect match in romance has many similarities to your perfect match as a client, right? You want your romantic partner to light you up. Well, you want your clients that come to the table and your perfect client to also light you up. You want them to be the ones that value you and whom you value. Now, once you have pulled together those green flags, those red flags, those lists, that understanding of who brings out your best work, who leaves you feeling fulfilled, and who truly values what you bring to the table. Now you need to do some market research. And I know that sounds so complicated. Oh my goodness, market research. Aren't there people who do that for a living? Yes, there are, but you don't need to hire one of those. I'm going to tell you how you can do your market research to the extent that you need to. So once you've defined your perfect client, the next step is to validating that profile through some market research. And this is where you move from, I think this is my ideal client, to I know this is my ideal client. And there are many ways to do this. Yes, of course, one of them is AI tools, and that is one of my favorites. Why work harder than you need to when our friends ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, etc., can do this work like nobody's business? So, for example, you can ask ChatGPT to summarize industry reports or online conversations about your client's biggest challenges. Right? So you can get this information and ask it to summarize for it. Try a prompt like this. Summarize the top 5 concerns of small business owners seeking mediation services. Well, that's a good one, right? Or what do divorcing professionals in their 40s say they value most when hiring a mediator? Right? Think of all the many questions. What do ultra high net worth families look for in hiring an estate planning attorney? Think about the types of cases that you're wanting to draw in, the perfect client, and start asking curious questions about them. But ask your AI who can get those answers for you. Right? So for my mediators out there, this is our bailiwick. Being, inordinately curious is one of our superpowers. So get curious about your perfect client. Now, there are other things besides AI. Here are some other tools you could use, something I call social listening, social media listening. Spend some time in LinkedIn groups or Facebook communities, or even Reddit forums where your potential clients hang out, right? Go where they are. And I'm not saying lurk like a stalker, but go in there and pay attention to the language they use, to how they describe their problems. Look for those pain points of theirs. What is it that is causing them trouble? And then look at how you can help them with that. How do you solve their burning problems? You've heard me say that on other podcast episodes. What's their burning problem and how do you help them solve it? And then direct conversations, guys. Go ask some of those past or prospective clients, why did they choose you? What mattered most in their decision making? What frustrates them about professionals in your field, right? There's a lot of this that can be super helpful. So I want you to think of a lot of these different ways. And if you are one of the professionals who follows, some of the things that I say, and I've said, always elicit feedback from your clients. Well, if you've done that, go back and look at it and see what information in those surveys or in that feedback that you've gotten that might apply to this. Go pull the feedback that you've gotten from those clients that define your perfect client. And then finally, you can do a competitive analysis. That's where you look at what others in your space are doing. Now, notice all throughout this episode so far, I have not talked about your competition. And that is how so many people frame their ideal client or frame their practice, is by what others are doing. They set their fees based on what others are charging. They run their practice the same way that, everybody else in the area works on half day or full day mediations. Everybody else in the area works on hourly billing and retainer, whatever that is. That doesn't mean that's what you have to do. So I always tell them, telling you, set the pace, don't follow along. But when you're doing market analysis, a competitive analysis can be helpful. So you can look to what others are doing in your space. Look at their websites, look at their posts, look at their offers, look at their pricing, their packages, who they're attracting, and then look at it through a critical lens. Are they hitting the mark? And where are they leaving gaps that you could fill? And I'll tell you again, this is another place where AI can help you. You can put their content into AI and ask the AI to analyze it, to see where they're hitting the mark and where they're leaving gaps and how you might fill those gaps. And that's next, right? That's once you do research. Research is awesome. Information and data is great, but now you got to do something with it. So once you have all that information, you need to put it to work. And that means you now want to work on refining your messaging. That means using the exact words your clients use. So if they say, I'm overwhelmed by not knowing the total cost, you're going to put in your copy or on your website, we realize most clients are overwhelmed by not knowing the total cost. Woohoo! Who's going to resonate with that? Your target client, right? You want to shape your offers in a way that resonates with them. So you will package your services in ways that directly address what they've told you matters. Right? So for those of you who need a little help with that, pick up the Flat Fee Playbook, the first in my, Practice Playbook series. The book is out there. You can get it now. It's short. This is a little plug. I'm sorry, but I do the podcast for free. So let's sell a book or two here. But guys, that's why I did this book. That's why it was the very first one in the Practice Playbook series, because getting your pricing right is one of the ways you attract your ideal clients. You package your services in a way that appeals to them. So shape your offers. Choose your marketing channels based on where they are, right? So show up where they're already spending time instead of spreading yourself across every platform. You don't need to show up on Instagram if you're going after professionals or referrals from professionals. Go to LinkedIn. That's where they are. They're not hanging out as much on Instagram. If you want to cross post, go ahead, but you're going to have to pay attention to more than one channel. You might find putting out different thought leadership would be more helpful. So go to the places and put out the type of content that appeals to your target audience and speak to them in that content. And then you want to position yourself by using your insights, your expertise, your wisdom, your thought leadership to highlight how you are the obvious solution to their problem. You've got problem A. Well, gosh darn it, Susan is the solution to problem A, I better call her. And that is how you move from chasing to attracting, because now you're speaking their language, you're solving their problems, and you're showing up in their world. So attracting is not about gimmicks. I really want to make everyone understand that. I am not talking about gimmicky marketing and sales. I am talking about alignment. When your perfect clients see that you understand them, when your services are designed for them, and when you confidently say no to clients who don't fit, you very naturally become magnetic to the ones who do fit. And here is the best part. The more you refine, the easier it gets. Your perfect clients find you. You stop chasing, and your practice begins to feel lighter, more intentional, and more successful. So all those colleagues out there who are just walking through their days with smiles on their faces, I bet you one of the things that puts that smile on their face is that they are working with the clients that they want to be working with, that they should be working with, that they are meant to be working with. You need to shift from chasing to attracting. So let's close out with today's golden nuggets. Golden nugget number one, chasing keeps you hustling. Attracting keeps you growing. Number two, your perfect client isn't defined just by demographics. It's more about mindset, values, and alignment with your mindset and values. Number three, market research, whether it's through AI, social listening, conversations, whatever it might be, whatever way you feel that you can best approach market research, that will validate and sharpen your client profile. And understand that market research changes, markets change. So you will need to refresh this on an ongoing basis. But part of it is the more in tune you are with your ideal client, the more you're going to naturally see these changes as they happen. You will recognize how your ideal client is morphing and changing and evolving, and you will be able to make those changes very easily as you go along. Part of our problem is that we look through blinders. And we're not recognizing, we're looking at our ideal client, for example, as anyone getting a divorce. When I was back trying to build a divorce practice, anyone getting a divorce or going through a family law type of matter was a potential client. And that is looking through blinders. And finally, when you put the research into your messaging and services, so the things that you find out their burning problems are, the things they're saying, the things they're thinking, when you put that research into your messaging and into your services, the right clients will find you. And that, my listeners, is how you stop chasing and start attracting the perfect clients. Thank you for joining me on the Practice Playbook Podcast. If you'd like a tool to help you start defining your perfect client, I've created a perfect client profile worksheet you can download through the link in the show notes. Until next time, listeners, remember, the more clarity you have about who you serve best, the more effortlessly you'll attract the client you're meant to work with. Thanks so much for listening to the Practice Playbook Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you'd take a moment to leave a review, follow the show, or share it with a colleague who's ready to build the practice of their dreams. If you want more support and tools like the ones you heard today, join the waitlist for the Practice Accelerator, my brand new subscription program packed with resources to help you grow smarter. You can find the link in the show notes or visit susaneguthrie.com to learn more. Until next time, stay focused, stay intentional, and remember, success starts with the right playbook.